Hey everyone, I have not done a video for some time now, and that is simply because I've had a lot going on in my personal life that I've had to take a step back and take a hiatus from um, participating really in the truth arena. I've been watching, but I haven't been participating because there's just been a lot going on, and these are turbulent times in which we are living in. As you can no doubt tell, no one can deny the stuff that is going on. We are seeing an increasing amount of chemtrailing. Get reports all over with the chemtrailing and strange happenings. It's been going on for months now. And, we have a big one coming up here at the eclipse on the 8th, which is, I believe, some kind of Judaic holiday. And for those with you with eyes to see and ears to hear, a mind to comprehend and a heart to discern, we all know what that whole nucleus is about, that with that country that is very much in the public purview, and many people are deceived. We are indeed in the times when Christ himself said that there would be deception upon the people, and many can't see the forest for the trees, and we're dealing with a very evil group of people, narcissists, who claim to be that they are elite because they are chosen. And make no mistake that even Christ, when he was here the first time, with his crucifixion, confronted these certain groups of people and said that they themselves were a generation of vipers, that they were of their father, the devil, and he was a liar from the very beginning. And some your dispensationalist churches, your mainstream churches will go and say, oh, he was insulting them, and no, he was exposing them. And these same churches, they stand with this evil country that Jesus was trying to expose. Therefore, they're deaf. It falls on deaf ears and blind eyes, and so it doesn't resonate with them. They don't see it, and very clearly in plain sight, they no longer hide it. They are killing people, like slaughtering people. I mean, if you read your Bible, it goes back to and talks about Herod and the slaughter of children because of the birth of Christ. He was trying to prevent it. That's what Satan does. He works through his own people. And this goes back to the beginning of time. What we are dealing with is nothing new under the sun. It was all foretold from the very beginning, which God knew from the very beginning to the end what we would be dealing with. And in the garden, and the fallen angels, and when God created man, and the fallen angels, Satan, which it is believed that his real name was Shamael, and they had fallen angels with him, some Jaza and Azazel, and they were very, they were fallen beings, and God gave man dominion over the earth, and the animals, and like a kingdom ruled by man. And Satan was jealous because he was an angel, and he thought himself to be a higher being, but God made us higher than the angels, and Satan did not like that. God gave us free will. God gave us the ability to procreate and feel pleasure doing it, and he made us in his image. It was, Satan was very, very jealous of this, and here God points, to them and says, hey, you're going to help man, and you're going to teach them things, and you're going to, watch them. Like, that's why they were called the Watchers. And Satan didn't like that. He didn't like the idea of not only is he serving God, but he's serving man, a lesser being as he looked at it. And that's why Satan fell. It was pride. It was jealousy. And, Satan is the king of loopholes. And the loophole that he constructed was to beget his own seed with the daughters of men, which case would be half fallen angel, half human, which means the humans, being that we were given this birthright, the domain of the earth, that these beings that he brought forth through his own seed would have just as much right to it, and in fact would enslave God's race. He thought it would be superior to what God has made. God, who he himself made the angels, made, Satan and all these angels. Satan thought he would be better than God. And that's what he does. Everything that God makes, Satan has a counterfeit for. And we all know about counterfeits. If you've ever bought in something that was not brand name and it was of lesser quality, that's what Satan does. But I digress. And we clearly see this going on in this world right now. And these beings, God said he would bring enmity between her seed and his. And he shall bruise thy heel, and he shall bruise the head. And, Satan has tried to confound and stop God. The Tower of Babel, the begetting of giants on the earth. It goes on, and they hid themselves in the rocks. And what's going on now, you have people like Mark Zuckerberg and, all these rich, evil, which they are the descendants of Satan himself, and these Rephaim and the giants and whatnot, they are hiding themselves in the dens of the earth. It also says in Revelation that they will cry for the rocks to fall upon them, and nothing shall be hidden. They won't get away with it this time. They've gotten away with it at the flood. They've gotten away with it after the flood, and during the resurrection and the millennial reign. They have not, they've gotten away with it. And for 1,000 years, Satan was held within the bowels of the earth, just like the other fallen angels. And for 1,000 years, and even God himself, Jesus Christ, is so gracious that he'd give anyone the time to repent. But Satan did not, because he is a prideful being, and God knew this. And we're in a short time now where Satan is wreaking absolute havoc on the earth. Such times have not even been in the days of Noah and the days of Lot. That it would be total chaos. And we are in that time when people are lovers of themselves, and you got families that are fighting amongst each other, and children are the most disrespectful and disobedient than it's ever been. And you have people that are confused and mock God and decide that they can choose to be something that they are not, and it is celebrated because this is the times that we are living in. There are signs in the heavens. You have, for the last 7 years, we've had blood moons. The moon has been a red color, hematite, which is rust, and it comes from the word of blood-like. So we have these blood moons. We have these, the fact that these constellations in the heavens, and there will be signs in the heavens, and the stars and the seasons shall disobey their order. And we have that. Look at the strange weather patterns. And that's not to say that the government doesn't have anything, that they're not partaking in the modification of the weather patterns. Absolutely, that's the case. The fact is that it's happening. And we have tornadoes in the Grand Canyon a couple years ago, and we have tornadoes in Chicago, in In February, we have it's cold and wet. I'm sure a lot of you who are out in California can attest to the strange weather out in California. This is unbelievable. I mean, I live in the north, and we've had tornado watches and thunderstorms and trees budding in January, and that's not like what it's supposed to be. It's usually miserable still this time of year. But the seasons and the stars, the constellations are disobeying their orders, and we're seeing celestial events appearing and different constellations aligning, and they've been following the constellations for a long time. It was given to let man know the time that they are in. But many naysayers will say, "Oh, that's evil. Astrology is evil." Well, if you're worshiping the stars, if you're guiding your, every day by the stars, then yes. But he didn't say to not observe the stars, and he wouldn't have us ignorant. And knowledge is increased, and many are perishing because of it. There's many things that we can say have been manipulated. Excuse me. From things that, you gotta look at, again, who is in charge of the world. What is going on? Look at your events. The Noahide laws that are being spoken of, that were snuck in by a former president. We shall go nameless, because people tend to get very upset about attacking that particular entity. But here's the thing, and those of you who are awake know to take sides is ludicrous, because these kingdoms that we're dealing with are dark. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with powers and principalities, rulers of darkness in high places. That's Ephesians 6:12. And, two wings, same bird. You're not, no man, do not put your faith in man, but only in God. And only God is going to stop this. Only God is going to put an end to it, because what we are awaiting is the end of evil and God's judgment on them and destruction of evil once and for all. That's what we're waiting on. A lot of dispensationalists will tell you it's the millennial reign comes after the tribulation, and that is not the fact, because we serve a good and loving, merciful God. And when the time we're living here is the most evil it's ever been, I can't imagine it happening again if it's been the case that the millennial reign has not already happened. And I absolutely, with being given eyes to see and ears to hear, know that's the case. This world, it's not going to be saved in any way. This is going up because it has been defiled. And God is wanting to make us a new creation. He's going to make a new earth. And it says so. And that's what we're waiting on. We're in the short season now, and we await the coming of promise, the 8th day, eternity in the kingdom with God forevermore. No more weeping, no more sorrow, no more pain. And it just seems to me that many people, we've been having blindfolds on for many years, having been told one thing when it couldn't be any further from the truth. Just like the good book, we know that there's so many translations, and we all see that they contradict each other. Up is down, left is right, right is left, bitter for sweet, and sweet for bitter. And the people that are in charge, they control the money. Wouldn't even have to have money. That's their invention. That's a device of Satan. Coveting and greed, and the things that money does buy. It's not pure, it's not good, it doesn't buy happiness. I don't care what anyone says. But we, they control everything. They control the media, they control the entertainment industry, All these distraction, for your men were the great rulers of the earth, and by their sorceries were all men deceived. Now, sorcery in the Greek is pharmakia. And a lot of people say, oh, it's the pharmaceuticals. That's just one part of it. There's many sorceries that they use. Conjuring up spells of delusion. Hollywood. These people, they control everything. It's through one company. It's called BlackRock. And it's situated in a country that if you attack these people, they go nuts. And they will seek to destroy you if you expose them. But we all know who I'm talking about. It's no secret. And they are deceivers themselves, just like their father. And we live in their world right now. They've got complete control of it. And it is by their own destruction that they themselves will be destroyed. And, we must be in a right frame of mind. You have to be spiritually prepared for what's going on. We have this eclipse coming up. They play with this thing called CERN. We know that there have been strange things that have come into this realm. People seeing strange things, that the media lying and reporting on strange things. The whole thing, everyone knows about CERN. And the veil is thin. We have realms. We live underneath a firmament, and there are there's veils. The dance of the seven veils refers to the seven domes, the coverings, and they're ethereal. So there's dimensions, and it talks about this in Enoch, which many, the dispensationalists will tell you not to read, but I encourage you to read it, because this was deliberately taken out of the good book. Just like the other books were taken out, and they were defiled, and switched, and turned around, and omitted, and added to. And those of you who like the King James Version, I would strongly suggest you go and look into King James, because King James was not a righteous person whatsoever. He was the son of Bloody Mary, the Queen of Scots. She was an awful, horrible being. She was into mysticism and divination. And he himself was he went after strange flesh. And also he was one of them people that Jesus warned about. Anyone who messes with the least of my beings, it would be better if a cinder block were hung around his neck and thrown into the depths of the ocean. He's one of them people that they enjoy pizza parties and hot dogs. For those with eyes to see and ears to hear can understand what I'm trying to communicate to you, because you have to watch what you say on YouTube. But that's what he was, and he wrote a book about angels and demons, and he wrote that because he wanted not only to be king, but he wanted to be pope, and he took out parts of the Bible that talked about rulers and principalities, that if they are doing wrong against people, that they are handed over to judgment by the people. And it was taken out. And just like that one scripture everyone says the golden rule came from, treat others as you yourself would want to be treated, which comes from when Jesus was asked, what are the two greatest commandments? The first one was, love and seek the Lord with all thy heart, mind, and soul. And the other is like it. The original context was, love others as I love you. But it was changed to love your neighbor as yourself. We're living in a world people don't love themselves. I mean, it acts like they put on this prideful facade, yes, but deep down, the things that their hateful nature and their egotism and their narcissism, deep down, know they're rotten, and they only do those things because they want to feel better about themselves. So, I mean, things were totally switched and changed. And that's why you have to put on the spirit and the armor of God to give you those eyes to see and discern those things, because we are in those times, and knowledge is increasing. Things that have been hidden in the dark are coming to light. God said we are a light unto the world, and that's what we should be doing, is lighting up the darkness and, being a beacon of hope in this dark waters, in this dark time that we are in and what's ahead. If you can't help someone, don't hurt them. And the only time you should look down on someone is if you're helping them up. And that's exactly where we're at. The signs speak for themselves. There's no doubt. And those of you who are putting your faith in man and, the good things are coming and the world's going to be cleaned up, I'm sorry to let you down, but this world, it's defiled. In order for God to fix it, he has to clean it. And that's why he's created a new heaven and new earth. And he says, I went to prepare a place for you. That's the new heaven and new earth he was talking about. And as for the, people say that they're the pre-tourism and futurism. There's time, it says in Daniel that he will think to change the dates and the times and the calendars. That's exactly where we're at. We know that there's history and events that have been covered up. We know that time has been added to the calendar. We know that the clocks have been messed with. We know that the calendars have been messed with. No one knows what time it is anymore. That's why we live in a giant clock. And if you pay attention, the signs and the stars in the heavens are there. I mean, we are, and there's no denying that. But we are, no doubt, post-millennial reign, awaiting the second resurrection, and awaiting the 8th day and the new creation, and where God will finally put to an end to the evil in this world. They cannot hide in the rocks anymore. They're going to try, but they can't. That's how foolish Satan is. He's so full of pride. And that's why they say it's foolish pride. And pride blindeth the eyes. So, he's so full of pride that he's foolish with it. He's eat up with it. And, it'll be interesting to see what goes on with this eclipse. If you do venture out, I pray you are careful. Please report on things that you see, all these warnings that we're hearing about the National Guard and different equipment being set up. If you do venture out, I encourage you to be careful. I myself am not I was going to go to this eclipse, and I'm not. I'm just going to take it in safety. And if nothing does happen, I'll be, grateful to God. But if something does happen, I'm going to play it safe. So I encourage you to go out, be careful, and take note of things going on. Report back and share with the rest of us, because you are a watchman. He has set before you a watchman. If you see the sword coming, you need to warn others about it. That's just how it is. And if we warn people and nothing happens, then great. Praise be to God in the highest. But if we see the sword coming, we don't say anything, and something does happen, it's on us. So just take that into consideration. And we all know that there's a lot of things with this eclipse. The town's called Nineveh, the sign of Jonah, and the what people call the whale. We all know it's actually a mythological creature called a Cetus, which there's a constellation in the stars called a Cetus. And the eclipse starts in the United States at a town called Jonah, and it goes through several towns called Nineveh, which is connected to the prophecy of Noah. Jonah. And we have the CERN Hadron Collider being fired up. I don't believe in coincidence. And as I said, we're seeing strange things. People are reporting on strange creatures, beings, animal behaviors. And we already know that the veil is thin. We already know that, to quote Chicken Little, the sky is going to eventually fall in, because we see it happening. And, You know, if you know the Aesop-tailed Chicken Little, Henny Penny, the sky is falling, it's a pretty telling little tale there. But I digress. And I just wanted to pretty much come on here, and I haven't spoken in a while, and I've seen some things going on, and I've been dealing with a lot of things in my own life, health things, personal things, and just haven't been able to get up the strength to really come on and talk about things. And but I have seen some things. I've been dealing with housing crisis lately. The last 6 months or so, there was some where I was living. The town was very, very, very full of crime, and it was not always easy to. Towards the end there, I couldn't get anything out because it was just hard to be outside anymore. And so we've had to be in like a safe house shelter type thing afterwards, and it's just not been easy. And I was in a hotel for a short time, and I've seen the reports people are talking about with these communications equipment, mobile outpost telecommunication things with the antennas and generators, and there was one of them car carriers full of white vans, and there was a couple different things in that nature at this hotel. The hotel had a lot of people there that were not originated from this country. It came from other countries, and we're talking about people of Asian and South American descent that were at this hotel. The place had a very strange government vibe to it, and definitely would have not even attempted to make a video there. So I've seen some things in the past months, and there's no doubt in my mind of where we're at in all of this. And I just wanted to pretty much come on here and talk about that. And that's all I really have for now. Just kind of a brief update and summary, and check in with all of you. And I lift all of you up and ask for a hedge of protection over all of you and your families. And just remember that greater is He that lives in us than that which is in the world. And if God is for us, who can be against us? And in His mighty image we are made, mind, body, and spirit. And though the weapons may form against us, they shall not prosper, for His hand of protection is on us. He is our sword, our shield, and our staff. And He laid us beside the still waters and the green pastures. And He is coming, and He is good. And may the praise, honor, and glory be unto Him, Jesus Christ, forevermore. And the power and dominion be His forever and ever, as it was in the beginning. God bless you all. I love you. And I'll check in with you again soon.